Hello guys and welcome to this video. In today's video we're going to be looking at an example of sketching a parabola. We're actually going to sketch a parabola in this video just so you guys can get used to the ideas that you need to be able to apply whenever you want to sketch a quadratic function. So this is an example that I pulled up somewhere, and we are going to be sketching the curve y is equal to negative 4x squared minus 16x plus 8. So the first step in any situation whenever you want to sketch a quadratic function is to complete the square for the particular curve that you want to sketch. So next step to complete the square for this function, and when we complete the square for this function we're going to get this answer right here. So after completing the square for this function, we then have to remember the general rule that any quadratic equation can be written in this form right here. Y is equal to a multiplied by x minus h squared plus k, and then from there we are then going to say that negative h is equal to 2, which implies that h is equal to negative 2, so that implies that x is equal to negative 2, and what this means is this is going to be the x-coordinate of the stationary point for this function, because what we want to do at this point is to find the stationary point of this function. And if you haven't already noticed, because the coefficient of the x squared term is negative, this graph is a sad graph, so it's going to look something like this. And then this point here, the x coordinate is going to be negative 2, and the y coordinate is going to be equal to 24. The y coordinate is going to be equal to 24, and we get that because that's the value of k, because k is 24. So the coordinates of the stationary point are negative 2, 24. And remember how we get those. We complete the square for this function, we get this. Negative h is equal to 2, so h is equal to negative 2, so x is equal to negative 2, and y is equal to 24. So the coordinates of the stationary point of this curve are negative 2, 24. So this is the maximum point, this is the vertex, this is the turning point or the stationary point of this curve. So now we know the shape of the curve. It's sad because of this negative, and we now know the coordinates of this point. Now we want to see if this curve is going to intersect the x-axis, and as usual we are going to use the discriminant d is equal to b squared minus 4ac, and the discriminant for this is going to be equal to negative 16 squared minus 4 multiplied by negative 4 multiplied by 8. That's going to be the discriminant of this curve, and that's going to give us positive 384, and that is greater than 0. That is positive, so this curve is actually going to cut the x-axis at two different points. So it's going to look something like this. It's going to look something like that. So the curve is actually going to cut the x-axis at two different points. Now that we know the curve is going to cut the x-axis at two different points, the next step is to ask ourselves, well, what are those 2 points? And if you want to find the coordinates where this curve is cutting the x-axis, you simply solve the quadratic equation of that function. So the function is negative 4. So the function is negative 4x squared minus 16x plus 8. So the solution to the quadratic equation is going to give us where this curve cuts the x-axis. Now solving this quadratic equation, it's quite simple. You can use the formula. You can't factorize this, so you can use the formula, or you can use the completed square version to solve the equation. I'm not going to go through this in this video because you know how to do that. So when you solve this function, you're going to get x is equal to negative 4.45 and 0.449. Those are the two solutions that you're going to get when you solve this quadratic equation, negative 4.45 and 0.449. So these are the 2 points where the curve is actually going to intersect the y-axis. And where the curve intersects, this is where the curve is going to intersect the x-axis. And where the curve intersects the y-axis, it happens when x is equal to 0, so y is equal to 8. So this curve is going to pass through the point 0, 8. This is going to be a point on the curve. So now we have all the things we need to know. We know the shape of the curve. We know that it intersects the x-axis because the discriminant is greater than 0. We know where it cuts the y-axis at x is equal to 8. We know where it cuts the x-axis at these 2 points, and we know the maximum point. So now we just need to sketch the curve. So now we're going to try to sketch our curve, and if we sketch our curve, it's going to look something like this. It's going to look something like this, where this one here, this is the point negative 4.45, and this point here is the point 0.449, and then point right here is the turning point. This is the turning point, negative 2.24. So this is how our quadratic curve will look like. This is where it intersects the x-axis. This is the maximum point, which is negative 2.24, and this is where the curve cuts the y-axis. So anyways, this is how we sketch this curve of y is equal to negative 4x squared minus 16x plus 8. So we've come to the end of the video, and until next time.
My nose running. Got my shades open. It's a whole skyline and the city's right in front of my